the Empire State Building version 2.0.
Okay.
The product of a 2-year program to say, okay, what more can we do? The biggest and most important thing about this building was the work that we did in the last 10 years to reduce the energy consumption in this building. People think what we should do is scrape the world clean, scrape the dirt clean, and redo things in state of the art. And the answer is no, because the reuse of what is already here and to make it more efficient is so much more impactful.
Over the last 10 years, New York City's classic landmark has been retrofitted to be more energy efficient. One of the first changes was the elevators. Regenerative brakes preserve energy that would have been lost to friction, and a dispatch system ensures that riders are grouped together depending on their destination. What does it mean to retrofit an elevator specifically?
Instead of using brakes, okay, which generate heat through friction and nothing else, you control the downward speed with regeneration, the exact same concept as what you use in a Tesla or in any other car that uses regenerative braking. And the same thing was applied by Otis to their Compass system, which is their destination dispatch. When they where you punch in the floor and it tells you to what elevator to go,
right?
As opposed to you punch up and you go to a random elevator and everybody stops along the way.
So this is a really interesting concept that people don't talk enough about when we're talking about sustainability, how it can also help people's daily lives. This combined a sustainable solution with the regenerative braking in the elevator itself with a system that also allows people to move more efficiently. When the building isn't being powered by its own elevators, the energy comes from a kind of unlikely place. Since 2021, the Empire State Building has been entirely powered by wind. When the electricity isn't generated here, it's generated by wind power, and you're completely powered by wind, which is incredible. But even in the wind turbines themselves, there's carbon. You mentioned the copper that's in the wind turbines. How do you reconcile that with it being a clean energy?
So that's interesting. Or how many golden eagles get whacked out of the sky, or what are the labor conditions in Mexico where they're making these blades? You're gonna put in all these wind turbines. That's an immense amount of copper that's required. So it comes back over to the fact that it makes much more sense to reuse what we have, to repurpose it, than to tear it down, and to do that in an economically intelligent way.
Another large part of the retrofit was an upgrade to the building's windows. Insulation, reflective barriers, and automated blinds all reduce the energy needed to heat and cool the building. But throwing out the old windows would have been a waste of resources, so the Empire State Building reused many of those original materials.
Everyone's favorite example is the windows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you got 6,514 windows. And they came up with this thought of let's redo all the windows. We'll replace them with highly energy efficient windows. Well, the interesting thing is the windows had been replaced about a decade and a half before.
So they didn't fulfill their entire life of use.
They had another 15, 20 years. We came up with this concept, let's rebuild these windows, okay? And we came up with another concept, which was, let's rebuild these windows with a glass factory that we put together in the Empire State Building. They never left the building, no carbon. We reused 96% of the original glass and frames. Brilliant. And the result, by the way, is windows that last another 30 years.
Amazing. How was that worth it from a financial perspective?
So to reuse the original glass and frames made the project about a third of the cost of all new windows.
Wow. One of the things I love about your retrofit and the work that you do in general is that you make it openly available to other buildings. And so I know that's something that you're working on right now, making it public so other people can use the Empire State Building as an example. But also, what is next for you here at the Empire State Building?
We've reduced our total carbon output by 54%, what is the maximum you can do? How do you get to zero? And then walks it back to what can you do and get an economic result of return within 5 years. So we're not there yet, because what we've learned is that we can probably get another 50% savings on site with an economic return of 5 to 8 years.
And people think there's a trade-off between the two, but in a lot of examples there really isn't a trade-off.
You make a critical point. So there's nothing that we did in this building to create the energy efficiency that we have created that requires fewer lights, fewer elevators, that makes it hotter in the day, in the summer, or colder in the day, in the winter. This is performance without compromise.